Hello, I'm horror cartoonist Dennis St. John. I draw monsters and write twisted tales. As you can imagine, I was a little obsessed with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Lucky for me, so were most of my high school friends, all except one. One friend who stubbornly refused to join the Scoobies. So here we all are, 20-some-odd years later. I'm teaming up with Doc Travis, John, Teach Landis, and maybe a special guest or two, and we're going to make our friend, Michael Poley, watch one episode of Buffy a week until he's no longer the Buffy Virgin. Hey, welcome to Angel Virgin, a podcast with a fanzine sensibility. Usually we're a spoiler-free Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast, but as you may have guessed, we're watching Angel this week, specifically Season 2, Episodes 18 through 22, including the Pylea Saga. Before we get started, I just want to ask politely those of you listening to make sure to subscribe and rate us on the podcast listener of your choice. And I am your host, cartoonist Dennis St. John. Why don't the rest of you guys introduce yourselves with how quickly you've dropped your New Year's resolutions?
Well, my name's Michael, and I'm the Angel and Buffy Virgin. I've only seen up to the end of Season 2 and the end of Season 5 of Buffy. And my resolution was to stop buying stuff, and I have already bought a Blu-ray DVD burner.
Nice.
But I'm trying to do it. If I was, it's like on the cusp, so I can start. I'm starting again now.
Hello, my name's John. I didn't have a specific resolution, but I did make somebody said that instead of focusing on your resolutions, like what you want to achieve, you should focus on like the feeling you want to have in the new year, and then work backwards and figure out how to get to that feeling. So like my goal was to focus on the feeling of like being careful and doing something with a lot of care and craft and intention. And I'm working on this podcast, so I guess I've broken mine just now.
My name's Travis, and I didn't make any resolutions because you can't lose what you don't wager.
I want to see you on Jeopardy.
I'm going to end with a perfect 0.
I bet nothing, Trebek. That's beautiful. I didn't make any resolutions either, but I'll start a revolution. I won't really. But why don't we jump into Angel, and we'll do why don't we do a quick summary of all the episodes that we're going to be covering. Mike?
Sure. So episode 18 of Season 2, Dead End. That's the episode where Lindsay gets an evil hand. Episode 19, Belonging. Cordelia stars in a commercial. A Draken arrives at Caritas. The host reconnects with a cousin. Landok and Cordelia get portaled to another dimension. This starts this multi-episode arc that probably includes that previous episode with 20 Over the Rainbow. Cordelia might have been a cow in Pylea, but her ability to see the future puts her in a throne. Angel Investigations discovers a portal to Pylea and is almost immediately imprisoned. Then we have Through the Looking Glass. We learn that Wolf, Ram, and Hart are somehow involved in Pylea. Cordelia has to perform a corn shuck with a Gruselok. Angel's powers now turn him into a demon, but he's saved by Fred, a librarian, who is now trapped in Pylea as well and has been for years. There's no place like Plrtz Glrb. To episode 22, Lorna gets decapitated, but not killed. Gunn and Wesley convince the rebels they're on the same side, and with Angel and Fred, lead them in an attack on the evil empire. Cordelia kills Silas and then frees the slaves before returning home safely to bad news from Willow. Buffy is dead.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Good job.
Why are you laughing so much?
Because you said corn shuck, which is fantastic. I really want to imagine Cordelia and the Gruselog shucking corn together.
You know what they're implying, the corn shuck. It's clearly a mating ritual.
It's not the phrase.
Those of you listening can correct us if you would like, but I'm okay with calling it that from now on. So let's move on to great lines from these 4 episodes.
Great lines.
So I have two lines I really enjoyed, and they're very silly. But in the business meeting at Wolford and Hart, like the boss asks for an update on Angel. This is in the episode. This is Dead End, where Lindsay gets the hand, and Lindsay, like the boss man, Glassy's like, and current status of Angel, and Lindsay says, he's up, he's down, he's good, he's bad, he's a barrel of dead monkeys. And before he gets cut off by Lila, whatever, but like it's just a very silly, like clearly, like Lindsay is so triggered by Angel, he just got this crazy like rant from nowhere. Love it.
Also, you're really like fucking up at your job when you're yelling this in the middle of your conference meeting.
Yeah. Also, an update on your rival, your sexual and I guess physically violent rival, who destroyed your hand and possibly your life and took your girlfriend. Okay, and then the dinner at the sushi restaurant with Angel Investigations. They're just, for whatever reason, like talking about the food. And like Angel takes that as an opportunity to comment on the price. He's like, how's that sushi? It's $18 sushi. Is it good? But then he says, in like this weird, like to himself almost, he's like, I'm not cheap. I'm just old. I remember when a few bob got you a good meal, a bottle, and a tavern wench. And everyone just kind of stares at him. I love it.
I was upset because I was about to type that down as I saw you typing it. I was like, damn it. I snooze, I lose.
I appreciated when Lauren says that xenophobia is kind of a watchword among my people, and Gunn comes back with, why are they afraid of Xena? I mean, I think she's got to fly. Excellent, because, I think the Venn diagram of Buffy fans and Xena fans is kind of a circle.
Yeah, and this is a Xena-themed episode, basically.
Definitely.
I liked when the host was trying to get Angel to help him kill the Draken. He said, are you going to help, or am I going to have to break out my champion Rolodex? And like, I know what a Rolodex is, but I feel like most people that are under 20 do not know what a Rolodex is, unless they've watched a lot of 1980s movies where like the Rolodex was like featured prominently.
Am I going to have to scroll through my contacts?
Yeah, but I'll admit Rolodex sounds more smooth than contact list. And then Angel says later on in the next episode, when he arrives at Pylea, he says, can everybody notice just how not on fire I am? And like, he's got this cute moment where he's like running around and basking in sunlight, and it's a goofy Angel. I love Goofy Angel.
For sure. I picked, this is from the end of the Pylea arc, a conversation between the head guy hunting Angel and the monk in charge of all of Pylea. He's like, I will personally bury my spear in his rump. His heart is where a cow's is, right here. Disgusting. They got weird anatomy over in Pylea. All right.
I wish. Do we even have a list of all the things that are weird about Pylea? That would be anyway.
Oh, we should have. Yeah, I created a list of all known demons of Pylea, but
that's a perfect place to start.
Let's move on to questions.
Well, one of the things that bothers me about Pylea is Angel, of course, gets this goofy moment where he can't be injured by the sun, or he's not killed by the sun immediately. And we find out as soon as they get there. But also when he transforms into a vampire, it's more of like a rage vampire. Why is that?
Wesley explains it, sort of.
So do you mean like, this is one of those things, like, do you mean like mechanically why does this happen? Or do you mean like emotionally what are they going for here, or what?
Well, I think if Angel has full grasp of his powers, this thing is over immediately. And everyone's like, oh yeah, he just goes in and, they grab Cordy and take off. So something has to be wrong. But the idea is, so there's two suns, right? And they're in a distant universe. Like, I guess the why of it is like, doesn't make sense to me. Just, it's another dimension. And so things are different because the precedent that's being established, I want to make a prediction about. So I just want to what is happening here with this precedent that like, if you're in another dimension, the vampire transformation is going to be different.
Yeah, I think they're just kind of establishing a different dimension means different vampire rules. And they clearly vampires like this do exist in this dimension because the monks have a name for it. But I think like physically, like metaphysically, magically, it's like a metaphor for like Angel comes to this dimension and he thinks he's fixed, but it's like no, now the curse is just different and it's in a lot of ways worse. So it's like the thing of like Angel and Angelus have been so close this season, and like now that he's not Dark Angel anymore, they're as separate as they've been in a long time. But it doesn't mean he's gone. It means in fact like when you repress your darkness, it gets like even stronger, right?
It's like when you don't shake up the orange juice and it's all pulp at the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, it also just shows, he's been in search of like good angel, and that's what his deal is. But even though he desires a black and white universe, he doesn't understand that if you get into the darkness of that, it's completely dark. Like on Earth, there were the shades of gray that he could be theoretically, but on Pylea, it's either all good or all champion, or all evil. And so he's not ready for that either. He thinks he wants it, but he obviously can't handle that switch.
Yeah, exactly, Trav. Like everything Lauren is talking about it being a black and white world sounds so appealing to Angel. He doesn't get the downside of that until he like directly faces it, right?
Oh, that's super interesting. Yeah, because they totally play it with a high contrast world. You can go from slave to to princess in a moment if you talk to the right guy. Yeah, so it was interesting. And then when Angel does the transformation, he feels like he can't go back to his friends. He's like, oh, I screwed up. It's like, I can't, I've shown my inner rage demon and I can't go back. And then he's of course convinced to go back. He joins them again. But like, cause Wesley
didn't have this same trepidation after he like turned into Angelus and like tortured people to death. Or did he? I guess he kind of did.
Yeah, I think it was awkward for him to see Giles again. Right?
Yeah, it was a bit awkward. He seems more worried about this, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I think he's closer to these people than he was when he was never that close to Xander.
What so follow-up question in this kind of same sequence of episodes, and I guess we're going to be talking about the Pylea arc here, but like what makes Wesley a natural leader? Because like this is like an important inflection point in this episode where Wesley, okay, in this world of high contrast, which now is like, this is totally what's going on, Wesley goes from slave to leader of a slave rebellion in a few minutes, right? And like they immediately recognize him as the potential leader. He's like, this guy's got a plan, let's do it. What makes Wesley a natural leader that, it's been apparently recognized in Angel Investigations, so it's kind of a joke sometimes. Like they use it to play to a joke because Wesley says, because he's so good at physical comedy. And I guess they're continuing it here. What makes him a natural leader?
I mean, is it kind of like how like when you're at the office and you figure out how to unjam the copier, and so now you're the copier guy for the rest of your life? Is it just that like Wesley's literally like, I kind of know how to do this, and everyone's like, great, you do that forever? I feel like it's a little bit like that.
People don't know he's a fuck up in Pylea. Well, I think arc wise, like we're learning a lot more about Wesley, and we see his interaction through the phone with his dad, and you get this idea like his entire life his dad has been shitting on him and tearing him apart, and like then the Watchers Council does it, and then like Faith does it and stuff, and like he's finally kind of getting over that and finding his own inner strength that's separate from like everything he's been told his entire life. And like when he comes to Pylea, he doesn't have any of that baggage with him because he's like just on this quest, right?
And he's also grown through his through his leadership style. Definitely has changed since the Buffy episodes, where he's very much like direction, top down, I am authority. And then he gets his leadership strength now by being resourceful, a good fighter, smart with the magics, and so like he's been told his whole life he's not living up to expectations. But when he's left alone to his own devices, he got put in charge of Angel Investigations, and so he actually is, despite what everyone has told him his whole life, a pretty good leader. I don't know. That's my interpretation.
But do you think that this is smart? Because like, so in this, right. You can be a leader, not be smart. And also this is a world where nobody wants to be a leader for some reason. They're like, oh, you take care of it. It's like the copier's jammed and that's the leader's takes care of it. Because like in this situation, he's leading a rebellion that eventually leads to like all of the slaves being freed. Oh, John, you're making a face like you disagree.
No, I'm about to sneeze.
Oh, sorry. So he eventually leads a rebellion that leads to slaves being freed. And they do this wonderful twist on it where they're like, yeah, freeing the slaves, that's a big deal. And it may not be as like clear cut as it appears to be, but I guess we'll get to that. Follow-up question again. This is all like in Pylea. Why doesn't Cordelia give up her visions? She is so concerned about her visions earlier. And so in the earlier part of this arc, like where she's starting a commercial, but her if she didn't have her visions, she could concentrate on her career, like she's recovering in Dead End, from her visions because it was so powerful. And like everybody's worried about her that whole episode. Like Gunn and Wesley are like, our Angel like buys her like a catered lunch. Like they're just like really worried how messed up the visions are getting her. And she like is making a choice about the value of the visions. It seems like she would rather get rid of them. And then she ends up keeping them. Why does she keep them? Besides for story reasons, Angel can't continue if they don't have a way to.
She's grown a lot. As I don't know if Wesley has said this yet, but the Cordelia you know now is not like the Cordelia from Sunnydale. I forget, that was said at some point. She's stronger. She has a sense of purpose. Remember when she's talking with Harmony? She has a place in the world, and the visions, they're a part of it. Like, to be fair, because she was helping with Angel investigations prior to getting the visions. But I think definitely she's found her place in the world. She knows what she wants to do. And there's definitely uncertainty in changing your place in the world, perhaps. And also, I feel like there would be some fear, like you if you corn shuck with a Gruselog, there's definitely some fear about what happens afterwards. I mean, for a practical purpose, I would be a little bit concerned about giving up the visions in that respect. But I think for me, she's developed as a person, and the visions are part of who she is and helping people.
Yeah, I think this is the story of her deciding to keep the visions, and it's like to have her place. To be a champion of sorts, maybe.
Yeah, and her story becomes different once you're able to reject giving away the visions, right? It's one thing to always have the visions and never be able to get rid of them, but when you're given the opportunity to help yourself and you want to help other people, then that makes you more of a champion.
Yeah, she gets the opportunity to redefine them because they're called a curse on Pylea, and she might have called them a curse before, but then she has to decide, like, is that what it is? Or is it,
No, it's interesting to see it play out. And then I agree. And I think all that stuff makes sense within the show. It was cool to see it happen, but it was also like, I feel like she could leave, Angel Investigations and like pursue an acting career. Because she gets an opportunity to get rid of the visions. I think like, well, with the knowledge she can go home, though they have helped her survive in a way and, helped her become a princess in this alternate universe. But I guess it's like a life of adventure or a life of a regular person, and everybody's choosing adventure over here.
Yep. Because otherwise, what would the show be? So just seeing Angel turn into his real demon opens up demon questions for me of like are vampires a specific species of demon that possesses humans? Because that face Angel becomes is like, I don't know. I wouldn't be that surprised to see that walking around Caritas or something. Like, so is every vampire looking like that in its demon form? Or like, can the ghost of any demon become a vampire? Like, how does this work? And I don't have any answer.
Did in the show, were we told that demons walked the earth before humans? I can't remember.
Yeah, that's in like episode 1 of Buffy.
Yeah. And then, but we're not told if vampires were part of the demons that walked the earth.
I think they say the last demon that walked the earth infected humans, and that's the origin of vampires, right?
So yes, then then I would say that the vampires are a evolutionary offspring of demons.
All right. I guess that's answered.
I don't know. What do you think?
I was just wondering if like a different vampire came to Pylea, would its face be different? Would it look more like some other demon species we've seen before? Also, would a vampire without a soul just be pure that monster when it comes to Pylea?
Ooh, I think so. I think you're right. I think also the face could look a little bit different just because every vampire is different, but I'm not sure like the general features it feels like would be the same. But you know who I'd want to come to Pylea would be the Master. Yeah. What does that guy look like? What if he became like this handsome person? That would be hilarious.
Or that, the demon with the claw hand. Would he become like a pig? Would he become like a draken or something? I also wanted to ask Michael specifically, like when you were, did you get to watch these with Travis, and could you sense his excitement about Fred being introduced?
Fred is played by Amy Acker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just knowing that this actress is someone that Travis has said her name just rolls off the tongue, right?
An actress important to Travis's life, maybe.
It's just an actress whose name has come up, but I haven't really seen her work that much. And I'm like, oh, here she is. So I sensed that she was important, but I'm not like, unfortunately, I didn't watch them with Travis, so I didn't catch the excitement in the room with it. So, but now I know that I missed out. I'm excited about this character and that she's come back. But, well, I mean, that's a prediction that I think she'll be on the show. I think she's going to be part of the cast.
She made it to the hotel, at least.
I have a question. Is Lindsay a villain or an anti-hero or neither?
I think he's an anti-hero. I mean, I think that's how they want us to read him. I think especially when he finally comes around and quits Wolfram and Hart. We're 100% supposed to be on his side in that scene. And he gives his whole, but I've got an evil hand, sarcastically speech. And then, which makes the like groping on the way out like really worse. Because I think we're definitely supposed to be like on his side in that groping. It's not a great moment.
Like it's a hilarious scene. I mean, the whole evil hand thing is dynamite.
Yeah, no,
like
it's great.
It's a fantastically funny scene and also horrible, but I don't know. I still think he's more of a villain than an anti-hero. I mean, I can say the show wants him to be an anti-hero. Right. Definitely. He's a foil to Angel, who's a hero. But I mean, I just, for me, he's going to be villain. Always. Day one, he's a villain. I mean, so for me, it's less ambiguous, but.
Well, they go way out of their way for us to identify with him and to feel sorry for him. The whole like really cartoony bit where like he's experiencing life without the hand, and he looks at his guitar and frowns like,
oh yeah. But I'm like a concrete wall when they're trying to, energize my emotions. I'm like, no. Or even when he has his sad story of his family losing his home, I'm like, no, that doesn't mean he could be a monster.
Like back in season 1, he had a moment where it looked like he was like,
oh, he's going to quit. He had this come home to conscience with those kids.
Yeah. And then he's just immediately like, I'll use this as a promotion instead. So like us seeing like him getting softer, whatever this episode, I also was like, I don't buy this. You're still Lindsay.
Yeah. So you're still not a good guy and not an anti-hero.
Speaking of hands, why don't we move on to some medical questions? This is a section Mike created called Doc Travis Questions.
Doc Travis, tell me about hand transplants.
They're real, right? They're real now.
We have a special facility in this hospital that we don't tell a lot of people about, but we do hand transplants.
Well, and eyes as well, but that's also real.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I just love the idea of like you just like the whole like the whole apparatus of like the transplant surgery and the suite, and like the idea that there's like probably like 5 to 10 medical professionals all involved in like some bizarre occult like transplant. Like it's not just one guy, and then there's like there's like this whole group of people who are involved in occult transplants. And then like just matter of factly after the surgery's done, it's like, all right, let's get him to post-op, which means there's another set of 5 to 10 people also in on some bizarre transplant thing. Just like makes no sense. I mean, it's just so crazy.
Then there's
like
the people
mixing
running
of
the
like
body bank.
yeah, oh
That's
yeah,
a whole
that
other
wonderful.
thing.
I mean, that body bank is like straight out of Aliens or like Alien. Like
Yeah.
it's amazing. I mean, I wish more hospitals were designed with Alien or Aliens aesthetics. Like, but like, I'm not saying body banks, but at least the style of it. I mean, I don't know. It's funny. Yeah, that I haven't experienced anything quite like that.
But just to
in
be,
modern medicine.
but seriously though, like hand transplants, that's been attempted in real life now, right? Since this episode.
I think
Did I not see a news article about that?
There probably have tried to be hand transplants. I mean, the most impressive one is the face transplant.
Right.
That's the most like public one.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, no, it's definitely a thing. Here's an article from last year, about a year ago. Quadruple amputee given double hand transplant. Also, haven't eye transplants been a thing without magic since like a long time?
Since that Jessica Alba movie.
Yeah.
No, you can. And there are, when someone is on life support, they'll harvest all kinds of organs, including yes. So yes.
So the guy who stabbed his eyes out, that was probably not necessary for him to get a magic evil eye transplant. He could have just gotten a regular one.
You would think so, unless there was something else going on.
Right.
I'd go cyborg guy any day. Give me some of that
I'm
infrared.
interested. I'm interested in updating the aesthetics of hospitals. I mean, I didn't chime in when you were talking about that, but like, I think some future tech would be fantastic instead of the prison chic that they seem to be more into.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want the H.R. Geiger approach to the hospital design. Like, just practically in terms of being able to sanitize all those little surfaces, I feel like that would be really difficult. I think
all
what
like
you
these
want,
weird arches and like
yeah, what you want is TNG sickbay. Like, although that's an awful lot of carpet, I suppose.
Wait, they had carpet?
Every
Next gen is
surface on
carpeted.
the Enterprise D is like tight woven carpet.
That makes no sense.
It's because it's a leisure cruise of a starship.
Carpet. I mean, who's like, all right, we got the spaceship. Let's lay the carpet. Bring in the carpet, guys.
Hey, especially in a hospital bay, right? Like, let's
Where
lay out
are the
carpet,
dimmer
guys.
switches? We're gonna put the carpet in. We're gonna get the dimmer switches. We're gonna put up the wet bar. Oh my God, there's carpet. I never even realized there was carpet all over.
For those of you playing Buffy Virgin Bingo, we are deep into the next gen check.
Also,
That's
this is like
blowing my
completely
mind.
off base, but like when they do surgery, there's one episode where they do surgery and the special surgical robes are red. They're like primary red, which you'd think would be the complete worst color if you were doing surgery. I mean, I guess it wouldn't show stains, but you wouldn't know if like someone was like, if there was blood spraying on you, you wouldn't notice.
Maybe if you're not using, if you're doing surgery on a Vulcan, it might be helpful because they have blue
That's
blood.
true, but they were doing surgery on Captain Picard, who, is a full blood human, as far as we know.
Except for his heart.
Was there carpet in the bathrooms on the Enterprise?
They never showed a bathroom.
never once
the
seen a
Enterprise
bathroom.
does not have bathrooms.
Oh.
Oh, it has bathrooms. I've got the
Oh my
technical
gosh.
manual over here.
It has one bathroom right in the middle of the ship.
If you're looking at the bridge from the normal view on the left hand side, there's a door back there that's supposed to be the bathroom.
I bet
Again,
it's got
according to the
carpet.
technical manual, which I guess is not strictly canon, but come on.
So I have another Doc Travis question. After Gunn gets attacked and shredded by like the real Dark Angel, Wesley just grabs a big pile of mud and rubs it into his wounds. And I just wanted to know why.
Superstition? I have no idea. That is definitely not what we recommend. I've never done that to a person. I've never been like, all right, let me go outside, grab some mud. I'll be right back. We'll get you covered in mud, bandage you up, and you'll be good to go. I don't know.
It's
I think
supposed
it's
to
just
like stop the bleeding, like clog up, because it's a large wounded area, right? Because he got like shredded by big claws.
I don't understand. I think. I mean, I'm sure there's some old timey reasoning. I have no idea. You just apply pressure with like cloth bandage. I mean, I'm not sure because there's all kinds of bacteria and fungi in the soil, like tetanus. that if you're exposed to an open wound that you don't want to, and there's other things, so blows my mind. I've no.
Maybe there's a
not
deleted
a real
scene.
life recommendation.
This is not a real life hack. For those of you at home and you follow Angel as religiously as I do, this is not one of the things you want to implement in your day-to-day life.
What is?
Well, the karaoke bar, I think that's reasonable. Opening your own fictional detective agency, also reasonable. But not the mud on the open bleeding wounds. I think you can do better.
All right. Let's move on to best and worst episodes of the small list.
Well, the best episode, and I think this is unfair because it's kind of like a series arc, and I just thought it was the best because it kicked it off. But Belonging is the best because it felt like the most unexpected series of events that led to this transportation to Pylea, and it was such a bizarre one. But also, like, anytime you hang out with Caritas, and I'm sorry, with the host, and Lauren, it's super fun, and like he's such a fun character to watch, like figure things out, and just has a completely other series and sets of contacts than Angel investigations, where Angel's like, let me connect with a detective, and like he's more like trying to find like someone like Kate and connect with the those kind of elements. Like Lauren just has like some random regular looking people who all think he's cool. Like when he goes to see the psychic. Anyway, he's a great character and it's a lot of fun. And like his interactions with the library, he's great. And then probably the worst is Dead End. And it's probably gonna be the worst on, everybody's list, I would imagine, because like it's just a weird Lindsay episode. And it's like has this, team up vibe, right? With like 48 hours, which they reference, which is great, of like good cop, bad cop kind of working together. And like I don't know about you, but I have not been waiting for the Angel Lindsay team up to happen. Like Lindsay as a villain is kind of like milquetoast, and especially after Angel just like trashed his life, destroyed his truck, and like broke his fake hand. I'm like, how can they ever be cool again? And like the fact that Lindsay's gonna maybe collaborate with Angel is insane. So that's the worst. That just felt like it was tough. But I enjoyed watching it because it was so weird. And I like Lindsay and Angel being forced to work together because Angel's such a dick to Lindsay and like just an unrepentant dick. Like even when Lindsay's singing and he's like got a good voice and everyone's like, oh, wow. You know what? He's a bad guy, but that's a great voice. Angel can't even give him an inch on him having a good voice. Angel's such a dick to him. And it's just, this is like full on Angelus type of relationship because it's petty and cruel. Ugh. It's like the best. Go ahead, sorry.
I also like in Caritas, like Angel still can't really click what Caritas is and what the host is doing with Caritas, where he's like, why are you letting these, like, he's like still angry Lindsay's there. He's angry that the lawyers are there. And it's like, he just can't get the chill vibe.
I just want to echo everything that you just said. My favorite, I think, was for basically the same reasons, though, was Through the Looking Glass, which I think is the second of the Pylea trilogy.
And the only one that takes place entirely in Pylea.
That's right. I just thought the Pylea episodes are mainly comedy. And I thought it had the best jokes. The Numfar do the dance of shame. Like that still makes me laugh, and I've seen it like 5 times now. Like it's still funny. And yeah, the worst is just every single moment with Lindsay. I don't think the actor's pulling it off with Lindsay. I don't know if I feel like the performance is a little bit like one-dimensional. He's just kind of the brooding thing. I mean, I don't know if maybe a different actor would be able to do better. I don't know. But Lindsay doesn't work for me for the most part.
Well, I mean, I think if you're noticing the performances, then yeah, like another actor would do some better or different. I mean, yeah, something.
I'm happy with how Lindsay. I'm happy with the actor, but I think the role is just kind of flawed. Like but I think I'm the same. I'm the same. Dead End is the worst, and then the 3 Pylea episodes, amazing.
Yeah, I didn't add anything because I was like, it would just be piling.
Piling
on.
Paella, also delicious. So let's move on to the next segment, which is best and worst of monsters. A favorite segment of mine.
I noticed in our notes nobody else had called it out, so I thought I would. But the surgeon monster in Dead End I thought was pretty freaking cool. It's got the robes and you like kind of see it from behind, and it's got the creepy claw. That was a good monster.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it just didn't fit my theme of like I'm going to investigate Pylea because it's a demon of our dimension. But also, like, why is this demon all like spooky, can float in and out of everywhere, right? Seems like it's got a lot more powers than just like surgery buddy.
Surgery buddy.
I still love the whole floating in and out. Like that still gets me as like something unnatural and cool, even after all this time.
Yeah, it just seems like they have so much more power than what we've seen, you know?
Well, they just had to kick it up a notch because it wasn't clear that something crazy was going on. So they had to like make it clear that the hand is going to be messed up.
Like, I don't know. If I was going to do it, I'd go for more like a creature like, did you guys see the new Star Wars?
Yeah.
There's that little puppet that operates on C-3PO, Babu Grin or whatever. Like, I like that little dude. I would have had like a little surgery demon like...
Oh, yeah. Little nimble fingers for doing surgery.
Yeah. Ooh, like a tiny little demon.
Yeah.
Like that fits in the palm of your hand. That would be smart.
Well, like who is the that fear demon from Buffy?
Oh, yeah. Is that Graknar?
Yeah, that's right.
Look at me just pulling out demon names.
He'd be a great surgeon.
He would. He's so tiny. Hear me.
There's always room for a puppet, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yes. Always room for a puppet.
Like even in Pylea, like, you know, when they have Cordy and, you know, Winifred, like in the opposite jails, like they could just add a puppet in there, just like they're moving the hay around.
And there is one. There's the puppet.
There is a puppet cow.
Yeah. The puppet like horse cow thing. That's like
some sort of antlered beast. It was a nice detail. It added a lot to this world to just put a puppet in it.
I mean, like a little gnome.
Yeah. Also,
like a little puppet gnome.
You can always populate your world more with puppets. And speaking of Pylea, I just wanted to do a general recap of all the demon species we met on our journeys. So, okay, the variety of known demons of Pylea include the Draken, which is some sort of warthog bebop type demon, which is apparently similar to a Hacklar, which I don't know if we've seen a Hacklar, but they're described as also being like maybe a Rocksteady to bebop. I don't know. We learn that Lorne is a member of, or first we learn the host name is Lorne. And then we learn he is a member of the Deathwalk clan. And from what even though the clan makes me think it's like one particular family, what I've interpreted through my vast research is that all green skin demons from Pylea are Deathwalk, whose main attributes seem to be the green skin, the horns. They have their heart on their left buttocks. They can be decapitated and recover. And they all have some degree of psychic power that they usually use for hunting. They don't understand music, but they do understand dance. There are hell beasts, which are similar to the hellhounds that attacked at Sunnydale's prom, but appear to be domesticated. There's another species of humanoid demon that live basically similar to the Deathwalk clan called the Gathwalk clan. They are fleshy demons with head nubs and are involved in the slave trade. And that's all we really know about them. There are the Covenant of Trombley. They're the monk demons. They appear to be kind of red-skinned and tattooed. They maybe are similar to Darth Maul's. That's all we really know. Their hearts, I'm guessing, are still in their butts. Let's see. And they appear to have some affiliation with Wolfram and Hart. There is the Gruselug, which is not a demon species, but a title. But the character appears mostly human, but has unknown demon heritage, including giant pupils. But we haven't seen any demons with giant pupils, so I think he's from an unknown species. Vampires do exist in Pylea, and they're called the Van Tal. And there's also blue skin demon species that we've seen as the leader of. We see the one guy who's the leader of the guard. They have no horns, but also have a heart in the rump. And mentioned but not seen is a flame beast. So I feel like that's quite a collection of demons to have found in this planet so far. But there's always more.
Great cataloging. I felt like I was at a lecture on the subject.
Thanks,
Well, I thought the best demon, I thought the best monster was the Pylea farmer character.
Yeah.
Who's like when Cordelia shows up in the Pylea and like immediately gets captured, like just setting the tone immediately with this farmer who's like, "You're a cow, you talk too much." Just like this, whatever that style of a character is, this like rural character just really nailed a universe, and they really stayed in that universe, and it was really interesting. Like I felt like I was in a like a George Lucas style production of a thing for like at least 15 minutes, and I love the back and forth between that. And anyway, that character's really fun. And like I would say generally all the Pylea farmer characters that were really mean to Cordy were awesome. Like they really they were super believable and weird. And I love how they completely ignore her. This is great.
Kind of a chatty cow.
Cow? You need to stop it. That milk's worth more than you.
Oh God. I like the Draken from the Belonging episode, and the reason I think that's the best one is because the fight scene with it is the best because of they're fighting in this weird like open air warehouse with all these stacks of wooden crates, and they've got these flares, right? And it's just like the coolest scene. To me, it's one of the best scenes ever in Angel, where they're filming them and they're following them with the flares going down these different pathways. And it's all like practical effects. There's no CGI, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
To me. So I just love that nighttime scene.
I love the Draken's like extra long forearms.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think it's such a struggle to like this episode. They do the hell beasts again. And it's like, it's always such a struggle to have like a quadruped in a human suit. So just giving them extra long forearms, giving them the ape arms really helps. Like if you're going to do something that's like not just a strict biped.
And then for the worst monster, I just want to bring him up, Seth, the commercial director on the beach ad that Cordelia's in. Because like I have this thing in a rant section about this, but he's like that monstrous scene, or that confrontation scene, super interesting in a way. Like it's it's infuriating to watch as a viewer because Angel like is clearly in the wrong. But then we just see like Angel shouldn't be there. He's like a bad boyfriend. Seth immediately like figures him out. He's like, get this guy out of here. But then like the objectification of women in that scene that's like completely superfluous, as it turns out, is like, it's pretty sad. But it feels like, I mean, it's weird to watch a scene where you are talking about objectification that includes objectification in the scene. So it's like,
this whole thing is such a have your cake and eat it too moment. Right?
Totally. It's an excuse to get the cake, is to talk about the cake.
That's great. Yeah. I can't wait.
I want to talk about it in the rant section as separately, because I feel like that transformation, like, yes, the transformation of her, going into her own and owning her psychic powers, awesome. But the transformation of like rejecting / accepting the acting commodification, sexual commodity thing, and then going to Pylea where she's like cleavage princess. I mean, that was a little bit like, what decision did you actually make there? You didn't. You actually you just put her in a starring role in a fantasy series instead of a beach ad, and we all prefer that.
Let's move on to best worst celebrity cameo then. And it cannot go without saying that Numfar is Joss Whedon. This is his only cameo in the show, as far as I know.
It's such a good one, though. I didn't realize that was him. It's almost like it really reaches almost like Monty Python levels in that scene, but it just works really well. It's really funny. It's hard to take the story seriously at that point because the story does want you to take at least semi-seriously ideas about freedom and slavery and what does it mean to be free as a ruler? What does it mean to be free as a slave? it kind of wants you to take those ideas seriously, but it's really hard to give it any attention when you've got Numfar.
It also totally undercuts this whole thing of like, I really like Lord's speech of being like, it's a world without music. And like, I thought I was crazy. I thought I was hearing ghosts in my head because I could hear music. And then we find out there is dance.
Yeah.
And it's stupid. Also, just that Daniel Day Kim from Lost and other stuff, including the most recent Hellboy movie, starts showing up as a new Wolfram and Hart lawyer. And I think that's all we got for celebrity cameos this week.
Only ones I noticed.
So let's move on to what I always call our most ill-defined category: best worst character look / work.
Well, the best character work was Lindsay with an evil hand. That was lovely and a mess. And it made me laugh, even though it was dumb. But I think it was like, it did the right thing where it was like, this is a dumb villain character. Lindsay is calling out how dumb it is and then enjoying the dumbness of it. And like, even though he gets a little grabby, like it's funny in the scene, and I don't want to take away from it and call out and like, oh, it's misogynist. Like, it's straight up funny and stupid. And he takes advantage of it on his way out in this alternate universe where you could just call it evil hand. I really like that mess, but Wolfram Hart's a mess, but it was a blast. Lindsay with an evil hand. And also just like he has so little to work with anyway on this show. And he has a whole episode to work with his hand and be upset about it. And like, he's poking at it. He's confused. He's investigating it. Like, it's just, this feels like how I feel when I'm trying to tinker with stuff around the house, because I am like so dumb about technology. But the only reason I'm able to fix anything is because I just spend too much time on it. And like, this is me fixing my elliptical for the past 3 months, and it is fixed as of yesterday, but it was just like poke, poke, poke with a digital multimeter. Like, I don't know anything about anything. And the worst is Cordelia's the princess. That was just the worst. I mean, she's a great actress, and I love how she handles the character. But I think their choice on this to go with the cleavage Xena warrior fantasy princess was a mistake.
It's the red Sonja bikini is what it is.
Oh, it was from Wardrobe? Okay. It just undercuts, I think, like her transformation to sexualize her transformation. Of course, they make it make sense in that world because she has some mating rituals to do. But like, they could have easily done a different kind of princess. Like, there's other looks for a princess. And I think after the previous episode where they made us feel like, acting was a sexual, actors are sexual commodities, and they made us feel like that's a bad thing. And ultimately Cordelia agreed with that. Then, in the meta of the show, you have decided that actors are sexual commodities. And so you can't, you brought it up, but then you made a decision that they in fact are sexual commodities. And I get it. Episodes of different directors, so someone could have a different perspective, and this show itself doesn't have to have a consistent perspective, especially in a episode by episode TV show. But like, I saw these back to back, and I was like, this is clearly the meta narrative of this is like, actors are sexual commodities, and that's that world they live in. And so it felt, I don't know, I was frustrated with that because that seemed like such an easy. They set up the conversation and then just decorated Cordelia up.
Thanks, Mike. I just think every character should get their own Pylea look. If this show was making action figures, they clearly would have given every character a Pylea look. They only do it to Cordelia and Angel, but Angel gets two. He gets his warrior look, and then he gets his demon look. Wes and Gunn just are walking around in their normal clothes the entire time for 3 episodes.
Well, they have their normal clothes and then their normal clothes covered in sewage.
It's true. They're covered in sewage.
That's a look.
You can't really make action figures out of it.
No, you totally can. Do you remember the G.I. Joe Eco Warriors where you would spray them with water and they would have stains all over them? It would be color changing. Like, all right. Shit stain is actually like a valid action figure gimmick.
Say Wes becomes a leader. He doesn't get any weird leader garb.
True.
You're so right.
It would be great for them to get the stocks though that they use as weapons, which no, God, that really like made me like, I mean, I don't really care about realistic fighting at all, but when he's like using his neck for leverage to like spin a massive piece of wood, come on.
That was good prop comedy. That was good prop work.
Good prop work.
But my best and worst character look was Cordelia's denim catsuit when she first arrives in Pylea. It's somehow both completely like form-fitting head to toe and also head to toe completely denim. It's a really bizarre fashion choice.
You got
I totally agree with Mike with that it was definitely a miscall on having Cordelia in like the fancy bra princess outfit, at the end. I mean, that totally undercut things. So,
all right. Let's do best worst new character.
Well, I'm gonna, of course, state the obvious that Winifred, Fred the librarian, is the best new character. She's kind of amazing and a mess, and I like how she's paranoid. She doesn't know how long she's been there. She's been there so long, and that she's like desperately trying to recover the like magic words in the world that will take them back. And like, I love that character, and that I'm super excited to see how that character builds on the show, because you wouldn't not introduce something like that and not do something interesting. So like, I'm loving this alternate take on an occult character as a librarian. I mean, we've had, Jenny Calendar, Giles, Wesley, and like Winifred is a blast. And I'm enjoying her, and I'm sad, but I'm excited about all the PTSD she's going to have from this world. And will she even adjust back on Earth? And then the worst for me, the new character, was the Gruselog. And I mean, I know he's not going to be a recurring character necessarily, but that eye choice was so weird. And I mean, the setup of the Gruselog as like, oh, this guy's going to come and you're going to be like brutally raped by a monster. You'll see. And then he's like a handsome dude, but like those eyes were so bizarre that it like took away from his performance. Because I think we look at eyes so much that like you get a lot of the acting performance, and I think it undercut the performance a lot. And I think that one choice ruined that character for me. So that's my best and worst.
Oh. I wanted to say like Fred is such an enjoyable character. Like I didn't even want to like write a best because it's like obviously her taco rant though. Like I watched that last night before I ate dinner, and I was like, I am eating tacos. Like, like what am I even doing in a world with tacos and not eating tacos? Like, you have convinced me. This is the meal choice.
I've been transported to a dimension called the UK where there's no tacos, and let me tell you, it fucking sucks.
So sorry for you, John. I had amazing tacos last night, and I appreciated them so much more because of that taco rant. I was like,
well, if you ever want to appreciate tacos more, just call me up and I'll tell you how much it sucks to be here with no tacos. And then when you complain about how there's no tacos, people will say, "But sir, didn't you realize there's a Taco Bell now in Croydon?"
John, I will text you photos of every taco I eat just to torture you.
You bastard. I went out for Mexican twice while I was in the States. It's great.
And you were doing Midwestern tacos. Like,
they're not even as good as yours. Yeah, exactly. They're not even that good.
But still, so much better than no tacos. And Fred is moving to LA, the land of tacos.
What if you were in the dimension without tacos and the dimension without shrimp?
One thing I was super bummed about, I got sick over New Year's, and the party I was going to go to had like 3 shrimp platters. And I was like, no.
It's barely enough shrimp.
Well, it was only like 4 people coming, so it was like...
I mean, they really set you up for success with the shrimp platter, because like that is like a meal for 1 to 2 people. I mean, it's the shrimp party tray. Come on.
Yes.
We know how that gets used.
So my worst, and really I agree with Mike here, but I just wanted to add a different one, is like Landokmar of the Deathwalk clan. Just because I don't feel like the character gets properly like Lorne has a lot of upset feelings about him showing up, and Angel's like really really gets along with him. And I feel like when Angel finally clicks like what's bad about this world and stuff, like we never really fully explore like Landoc's like issues, or like Landoc coming to terms with like, I've been killing humans and humans have feelings. Like I just think that could have been like the character feels like he got off the hook because instead of being explored.
Dude, you're so right. Like that whole episode, Landoc Bar is like just a total like red hair. I mean, it doesn't feel, it's so unexplored because it's like we just use him as an excuse to start this amazing Pylea arc, and like, yeah, and Lauren. But you do get some self-exploration from Lauren. But yeah, Landoc is lost.
Yeah,
I mean, it's nice to get that contrast, but it's just how insane Lauren is. Like he's such a weird character. Period.
Trav, why don't you talk a little about your favorite character?
Oh, Fred. Oh no. I mean, she's my new favorite character. But I mean, I liked her performance. It was definitely delightful, but just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, so we're just getting to know her, and there'll be plenty more of Fred, which is great. So I should have said the best acting that I saw was with Gunn when he was giving up being with his crew and like giving that speech of I gotta stay here. That was really touching. And so I think like the best like single instance of acting was Gunn saying I gotta go be with my crew. And then that was great. I mean,
so much so you don't understand why he changes his mind.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, he jumps in the car and he's like, we're off to the other dimension now. You're like, wait, why? You had a really good reason for staying. You idiot.
Yeah. You know why, because Angel called him up and told him they got a suicide mission.
Yeah. And Gunn is, ever since his sister died, Gunn is definitely on a suicide mission.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like the show could explore Gunn a lot more than it does.
Yeah.
Like we get some good stuff this arc with like him watching Wesley and watching the way Wesley behaves when he's in charge. And I think we need that, but like I'd like to see it more. Yeah.
My best character was Lauren's mom. It's a comedy character, and it's not real deep, but I just the way that the character is constantly doing these like kind of like passive aggressive guilt trips that then have made me really quickly ramp up into just completely saying what she thinks. And she's just like, oh well, you never come see me because you're terrible and I hate you and I want you to die.
We ate the wrong child.
Yeah. Like those all really work. I really like that character.
Nice. All right. Let's do best zoom in and enhance opportunity. Let's throw this. I'm going to throw this one over to our tech whiz, Johnny.
Well, thank you. So when Lindsay breaks into Nathan Reed's office and signs in on his computer, we get a lot of really good shots of like the Wolfram and Hart operating system and a lot of things here. However, 99% of it is extremely boring. It's actually just stuff from someone's office computer. So it's like got his to-do list and there's nothing on there that's interesting. So Nathan Reed's to-do list includes the Blatt case deposition, LA office assignments, senior partner reports, and on and on and on. It's all really, really, really boring for the most part. The only halfway interesting one is shaman contracts is on the list, but everything else could literally be from anybody's to-do list. He's got files on all of the people. He's got a file on Lindsay, and he has a file on the Fairfield Clinic, which is mildly amusing. I'll read that. It says, offering a wide range of health services, the clinic provides first-class care for our most valuable resource, our people. In addition to the usual range of healthcare offerings, Fairfield's research department is at the forefront of development of advanced treatments. Perhaps no facility in the world has developed such sophisticated use of demons in the therapeutic setting, allowing our employees benefits, which would be impossible with pure traditional medicine. So that's it. I mean, there's really nothing else that's that interesting you can pull out of this, except for the fact that Nathan Reed's password is the word Zen. It's 3 characters long, his password. That may have flown in the 90s, but man, it's pretty bad.
Like it would have been cool if it was like evil, but spelled with like a 1 instead of an I. I mean, there could have been.
Is Is Nathan Reed's keyboard upside down?
I'm glad you noticed that. It's backwards. So you could
it's
say,
reversed?
yeah, you could say that they just, for some reason, it was easier for them to shoot it from the other side, and then they just reversed it since it was a quick shot and no one would notice, except for people who go through, frame by frame and notice these things. But yeah, it's reversed left to right. I choose to believe that, yeah, it's an evil keyboard, and therefore it's not a QWERTY keyboard. It's a Puyu keyboard.
You type the wrong words, you summon a demon.
Yeah.
Flick blurk.
Also, there's nothing about Nathan Reed that screams Zen.
No.
Right?
Well, it's what makes it a good password. You just never guess it, except unless you're Lindsay. Also, like, they don't have the little dots, so you can't see the password over someone's shoulder, which is probably how Lindsay got the password.
They should always do the little dots. There's always something kind of amusing about, like, when people are creating their own computer programs for movies or shows where they can't use, like, what a real computer looks like, so they create these systems that just look like
that would be time travel job fantasy, like going back to the 90s and being the designer who designs the UI for, like, Jurassic Park and stuff. Although, did you know that the 3D zooming through the computer Jurassic Park thing, that's a real thing?
Really?
Yeah, that was not made up for Jurassic Park. That was a real thing.
That is the most inefficient use of a system. Did you watch? There's a Community episode where they get VR, but it's all like programs like that. He's like, to delete a file, I have to drown it in the.
I mean, it's weird, right? It's like, when the metaphor gets out of control, like that becomes the only way you can conceptualize something. But those things seem absurd, but at the same time, like trying to explain to your parents how to do something on a computer, right? Like, if these visual tools help at all, then yes, like make the metaphor super big. Like you go inside the computer, you click to enter email, like whatever it takes.
Yeah, I was watching my dad use a computer, and he's like pretty computer savvy. But watching him like try to use his laptop, he does not understand touchpads. Like he can't. Like he doesn't understand tap to click. He's still like trying to press like with one finger the button and the other finger to move. But it's all one thing now, and then it freaks out. It's never mind.
All right, thank you, John, for that zoom in and enhance opportunity. And I know that as you've stated before, Angel is not in HD, so it's a little harder on this program to do the zoom and enhance. So I appreciate the effort you put in.
Thank you.
And now let's move on to recommendations.
Recommendations.
And usually with recommendations, what I do is I try to curate a list. And I did these recommendations all last night, and apparently I went rant instead of curation. I didn't do any editing, which is interesting. But okay, so anyway, let's start. I'm going to start with Idle Hands. This is starting with the Angel's Evil Hand episode. I'm starting with Idle Hands, not because I think it's a great movie necessarily, but it's a movie I really associate with this group, especially Travis. I don't even know if Travis really likes that movie this much anymore, but I really I cannot think of this episode without thinking of Idle Hands and without thinking about enjoying this movie with Travis. And it's a 90s Evil Hand movie. It's got Devon Sawa, it's got a young Jessica Alba, and it's got, most importantly, Seth Green. So anyway, yeah. Honestly, the movie is kind of worth watching. It's fun. Also, from that same episode, several Alien movies have that body bank scene and the "kill me" moment. So any number of Alien movies would be on that recommendation list. I watched Alien Resurrection last night, and which is the one kind of notoriously Joss Whedon wrote, and that movie is fun. It is weird and gross.
I'll go to bat for that movie any fucking day. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of dumb, but it's good.
Brad Dourif is excellent. He's the scientist who's sexually attracted to aliens, which is about time that they brought that into the series.
Well, that's why you can't do it in hospitals.
Yeah. I just feel like, you create these Geigery designs that are sexual, and then you don't admit that that's what's going on. But it also points out sexual doesn't mean necessarily sexually attractive, right? So Evil Dead 2 also is probably a great evil hand movie. Bruce Campbell. I think Narcs did out of the park in terms of the physical acting more than Devon Sawa or Lindsay does. He's really able to animate his hand as a separate character. And how often do I get to recommend both movies for entirely separate reasons? I'm also recommending its sequel, Army of Darkness. Ash time travels with his car into medieval times, battles monsters. Exactly what happens in this episode. I was also thinking Cordelia kind of has an Ash moment because she gives up the princessness, and it's kind of that Ash sure, I could have been king, but in my own way, I'm still king. Hail to the king, baby. I'm also going to recommend Mars Attacks because Lorne has an amazing ability on Pylea where singing causes people to have seizures. Reminds me of Mars Attack. That's how you kill him. I have to recommend Red Sonja because that is the origin of the metal bikini. Red Sonja originally character created by Robert E. Howard, became a famous Marvel comic, which is where the metal bikini came into play, became a movie. There is a Marvel issue of Spider-Man where Mary Jane gets possessed by Red Sonja. But there's a movie with Bridget Nielsen and Schwarzenegger. Let's see.
What was that? Was that pre-Return of the Jedi?
No, it's post-Return of the Jedi.
Because there was a pseudo metal Leia bikini, right, in Return of the Jedi and Jabba's palace.
That's true. I was thinking it's the way that it's
slave bikini,
the chainmail thing.
Yeah,
you're right.
Definitely, I don't remember much chainmail, but there was a pseudo.
Oh, sorry. The Red Sonja the comic character is from before.
Predates.
But the movie is from after. Yeah.
Okay, but the comic predates it, so that's cool.
Yeah. I am going to recommend The Brain That Wouldn't Die because Lauren gets to be a talking head. And The Brain That Wouldn't Die is kind of the most solid talking head movie. A woman gets decapitated. The scientist brings her back as just a head, and then he goes searching for a body. Let's see. I'm going to skip that one. Worth mentioning is a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, which is a Mark Twain story. It feels like this is a lot based on that. There's 2 film adaptations of it, at least, one from 31 and one from 49. And then there's riffs of it, like A Kid in King Arthur's Court, which I think is part of the Angel in the Outfield cinematic universe. And then the riff on it, Black Knight with Martin Lawrence, as well as the other riff, A Night in Camelot with Whoopi Goldberg. Also worth mentioning is Just Visiting, where Jean Reno comes to the. This is more of a riff on the Landok coming into our time scene. And I just wanted to kind of give a brief rundown of the fact that in the 80s there was a sword and sorcery trend in movies. The highlights of it would be Conan, Willow, Lady Hawk, and then it's one of those trends that really crashed down into the bottom of the barrel. And then you had movies like The Barbarians, starring the Barbarian brothers, and The Wizards of the Lost Kingdom 1 and 2, which were on the most recent MST3K remake. They reviewed those, so that's what I got. And I know I missed some.
List, Dennis. Yeah, you definitely missed some. You definitely where was Mad Love on that list? That's the origin. Is that not the origin of the evil hand trope? Is that not the oldest?
You're right. I think I just missed it. The Peter Lorre movie.
And then also, what about Running Man?
I thought about Running Man.
It's got collars that blow people's heads off.
Yeah. There's also this series of episodes also has an exploding head. And I always love good exploding head movies. But I've already recommended Scanners before, but that didn't stop me. I don't know. I could have done it again.
Oh yeah, in 48 hours, because Lauren literally says like, my only person who's seen 48 hours.
All right, let's move on to our rant section.
Well, I already ranted about the Cordelia costume, but so I'm gonna, I guess, move on from that one. I guess my first one will be about the Gunn's friend's funeral, which is like WTF about that. Like, so Gunn's friend, so the whole Gunn arc, which we've talked about a little bit here, is deeply sad. So Gunn doesn't participate in like when he's needed. His friends come to him. They show up at like the hotel and everything. They know where Gunn could be. And they're like, Gunn, we need you. He's like, guys, do you have to go right now? I'll join you in a bit. We've got to kill some monster or something. And then like, of course, Gunn's friend ends up like with 2 vampire bites in his neck and he's dead or something. You know, they don't know if he's been drunk or what. And so they burn his body. And like, I think they don't, for as much time as Gunn has spent with, you know, around vampires and supernatural stuff, I feel like the vampire education or supernatural education has got to be limited because I don't think they need to burn the body. Well, you guys are all looking at me skeptically, but that one, like, that triggered me. And I'm like, wait, what kind of ghetto, you know, like, this is like this weird ghetto urban funeral thing they're doing where they're burning him on a pile of like old pallets. It just made me sad. Like, this sad end to this like visit to Gunn's universe that's like been completely destroyed by the supernatural. So do you have to burn? I mean, I guess this is a question. Like, do you have to burn a body because it has 2 bites on it? Like, I think you either become a vampire or you don't. It's not like
I think
you're going to revive later.
There's a waiting time, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You get your blood drained, then you drink some blood, and then you appear dead, and then you have to be buried. And then you rise.
You don't have to be buried.
No, you have to have soil. Yes, I know. The soil.
Okay, so they had to burn the body?
Yeah.
It seems like a safe bet.
Yeah.
To be safe.
Also, it seems like less like the other alternatives would be to like decapitate the body or stake the body. And that seems like not as dignified as at least cremation is like a normal thing to do with the body. Not on a pile of pallets normally, but it's what they did with Darth Vader.
The pallets.
Basically.
I'll admit, it would have been funny if Angel the series had introduced like a crazy crematorium like character that they could show up and like cremate potential vampire like potential, you know, the friends that have been killed by vampires that may become vampires.
Come to think of it, if you could just push cremation as you know, a more mainstream option in Sunnydale, Buffy would have a lot less work on her hands.
Yeah.
They just need to like...
Shoo, you're so right. They absolutely need to cremate all the bodies. Who are these people? What are they doing? They should learn their lesson by now. Damn. All right, so Angel getting some sun. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Dennis.
Oh, no. I was just going to continue that rant, but...
Oh, please continue. It's a good one. Cremate the bodies.
I think the vampires obviously have some sort of financial stake in this. They've probably taken over the funeral home industry.
Steak.
Dude, totally. Vampire Funeral Home will be a great TV series. Super clear what's going on there. And it's not even, but it'll make sense. People will get it. Okay, so Angel getting some sun, right? So this is like both a lovely moment because we like seeing Angel happy.
Which
even
time?
when it's fake sun. Right, so it happens twice here on the commercial for the beach.
It's the third time overall.
Yes, but it could be all the time if he just kept the ring of fire. That just makes me crazy because he loves it. He loves the sun, but he doesn't deserve it.
He does love the sun.
They did the thing the first time where they made it really clear that he's really pale once you see him in the sun. They did not seem to be repeating that.
No, he's beautiful. All right.
David Boreanaz really isn't that pale, though. For an Irish guy.
Okay, so this didn't come up yet. Lauren's head on a platter. This is cruel to do to TV watchers. Like, that we discover now that how the anatomy works. Like, it's just totally made up so they can do this head on a platter thing. And then they do the rump joke too. So they got a couple jokes out of this idea that like you can decapitate Lauren and like he's still alive. But like, I was like, I was like, damn, he's gonna die in this universe. Like, I totally bought it. I was like, oh, that's a bigger choice than I would think. And then it's like, eye pops like, hey, what's going? Like total clown car here. I just couldn't believe that they did that move, and it made me angry watching the show. I'm like, now nothing matters, because if you decapitate someone, they can come back to life. Like, then obviously Buffy's going to come back to life. Like, obviously, like no character like it. Unless it's from an earlier part of the show, I guess, like with Jenny Calendar and stuff, where people can be permanently dead. But I don't know. That just made me angry.
My problem was the effects. The effects are just clearly not quite there to sell the talking head.
I like that they built a pretty decent looking prop Lorne head, but then there's shots where they like spliced in Lorne really talking right on top of it, and it's like it moves a little, but the head doesn't.
Yeah. Well, and then like the head prop, there's a version of the head prop that has a moving jaw.
Yeah.
So like
and
a
blinks.
couple times, they cut to wide shot, but it doesn't work. It works, but it doesn't quite sell it. Where it's just sort of like he's like creepily sort of wagging his jaw.
There's kind of a 1/3 shot though, where you can just see it blinking, and I was like, this is pretty solid.
Well, I was totally not paying attention to the effects. I was so angry at the.
I thought
this mini quest of reuniting the head with the body, and then it'll come together. Like,
yeah,
you do start to think about like, how is he talking? Where is he getting oxygen from? How does his lungs work?
Yeah, and well, like the whole. Even though it's 3 episodes, it still feels like there's elements they could have done without that. I prefer that they spend more time on other things. Like I don't like the Lorne's head thing. Yeah, it feels like a side quest. It doesn't really have that much emotional payoff. I'd rather
they
like,
do it because they have the good
give me some more gun stuff.
Reveal.
I liked it. I was like, this is what I'm gonna draw for this week.
They do it for a TV cliffhanger moment, and it's just like, and then you have to walk through, however many minutes of exposition to justify this good moment. Because they don't want to commit to actually killing the character. And it's so aggravating that I'm like, oh, now this is the drama? Fuck me. This. I was just so angry with that. That's why this is the rant section. Okay. And then I hate how they abolish slavery before leaving. They're just like, and you're all free. And then they explain like, oh, and there'll be reconstruction, next to follow. And then, freaking Grislock's like, what? And like then they get Gunn, you'll take care of this. And then Gunn, like, I should have picked this as the best quote, but like Gunn explains the challenges of slavery, like what freedom means to people. And it's like it's an awesome like note to American history. It's great, but just like, what did they just do? It's awesome because they totally invert the victory immediately by talking about the challenges they'll experience, the uprisings and concerns. I hate it. Because like they could have just left and like not done that, and they did, which was amazing. But it also like undermines the thing they just did because they didn't discuss any of the consequences of that before doing this plan, like this revolution plan. Because like Wesley's got a plan. Yeah, let's go fix the copier, right? Whatever, this guy, the copier fixer. Let's do what he says. Like I don't know. It just makes everything more complicated, and it is complicated. But then they don't. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's like the bikini
I like the
thing
illusion
you're
to complication.
About. It's just like the bikini thing where it's like being smarter than a thing doesn't mean you're not going to go ahead and do it. Right?
Right. Yeah.
And so like this is totally the moment in that one Star Trek where Captain Kirk reads the Declaration of Independence to the people and then just like beams up. It's totally that. Except they're smarter than that. So they know they're doing it. So they just like, we're going to do this thing. There, we did it.
Luckily, we don't have to stay in Pylea.
Yeah.
Because really, that could be the rest of the show is like trying to guide them through reconstruction, right?
Right.
Like if they were, going to take responsibility for what they did.
Yeah, movies. I mean, it's the whole. Yes, that'd be amazing. Next rant here. There's so many. Sorry, this is the what's the code moment when Lindsay thinks he's gonna like get some information about the evil hand or whatever, and he's talking to this detective. Detective's like, "All right, so tell me the code." And Lindsay's like, "Oh, I'll pay you whatever you want." And the guy just goes to kill him. It's amazing. That like inversion on Lindsay. That That's the best. That build is the best. And then that Angel shows up to rescue Lindsay. I was like, oh, come on. So then the other part of Dead End, which is the worst, which is that Lindsay's investigation of his evil hand, like, just chop it off. It's messed up. It's like something terrible's happening. Like, it's not. But he goes through the whole investigation, and like the whole time I'm confused about what he's even trying to accomplish with it. And I don't think it's clear what he's trying to accomplish. What he's trying to do is team up with Angel, get to the weird body vat room, be horrified, and that's it. Like, that's the goal. And then invert and, you know, quit Wolfram and Hart while being an anti-hero. But like, that arc doesn't make sense for him to go that deep. I mean, he knows Wolfram and Hart is fucking evil. Like, he knows that. Yeah. He works for them. They want him to be the boss. They are grooming him. And also with some object to control him, right? Like, this is all very cool. Like Lila senses that, like, you know, when she sees him getting that moment alone with the boss, right? Where it's like, oh, he's going to get promoted and I'm not. And so it's like, you see this arc of evil promotion, but he's going to be skeptical and paranoid and investigate it. But like, he knows it's evil. So like, it feels like it's not necessary. And also, why can't he just have access to this information? Why is it hidden? I don't think it's hidden at all. So the back channel thing of Lindsay investigating stuff is like super confusing to watch. So I watched the episode a couple of times just because I was like, wait, when's the moment when he decides that that's what he's doing? I mean, we see him get curious about the hand and go after it. So this is kind of the end of the rant. It's just like, it's a little convoluted. Ultimately I like it and I get it, but there's just like a couple steps missing of why Lindsay is surprised at how evil the company he works for is. And I feel like it's not, the hand is personal, but it's not personal enough. Like, it's not like the hand is going to kill someone he loves. What the hand could do is kill him, though. Which is that crazy moment where the dude stabs his own face with with the knife or whatever. This episode's so messy. Anyway, I'm just going to walk away from the hand.
I would like to, for my rant, I would like to slightly extend one of your rants, Michael. Thinking about the bikini scene, which I think is kind of the heart of the whole, maybe even the whole 3-episode thing. It's kind of like the beginning of Wizard of Oz, that like it's the statement of the problem that like sets up the fantasy. So like you have Angel in this moment that I found like, you know, kind of really, really relatable. Those moments where you like, you want to be the good feminist ally and you intervene in a completely clumsy and idiotic and selfish way, where he's like, I'm going to be the hero of this and I'm going to save you from the evil director who's male gazing you. And Cordelia is just like, you have no idea how complicated this relationship is and this interaction is, and please stop trying to help. You're an idiot. Right. And I actually feel like, and I completely agree with you that the show wants to have its cake and eat it too, and it wants to be smarter than the things that it keeps doing. But I also feel like the princess role is kind of connected to that moment where, you have, like being a successful actress, being the princess is this like form of power that has all of these like strings, and it's this kind of power. It's this weird kind of power where the monks are like, oh, you're the princess. You're totally the princess. We'll totally do anything you say, except we'll totally kill you if we feel like it. And I feel like there's a similar thing going on with Cordelia's relationship to being an actress, where it's like, oh, it's this desirable thing. And she actually definitely wants it and definitely wants to do that. And it gives her a kind of power, but it's also this sort of restricted power. It's this power that comes only at the behest of people who are going to, literally hold her life in their hands. So I feel like that kind of that is a theme that runs through the whole thing. And also Angel's like, he actually repeats it. Like, if you think of Pylea as this high contrast universe, right? That whole scene is repeated when he faces off with the Gruselog, right? Angel he wants to rescue Cordelia, and he's and the Gruselog wants to rescue Cordelia, and he's got this guy whispering in his ear, like, if you don't, she's going to be raped by a monster. And there's both these guys who are fighting ostensibly to save Cordelia, but they're also sort of fighting over her, right? In a kind of a possessive way. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of smart things going on with that kind of like connect throughout it, but it's like you said, it's also it's doing a lot of the show is enacting a lot of the things, and I'm wondering what it must have been like to be an actress working on this show, or what it must have been like be Charisma Carpenter working on this show and doing those scenes. You know, and maybe even knowing a little bit of what we know now about Joss Whedon, like, I don't know, like how ironic did it feel? Did it feel ironic? I don't know. Like, it makes you wonder.
Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, I definitely think like knowing what we know about Joss Whedon now and how much like his feminist ally stuff almost is performative. Maybe he wasn't even aware of it, you know?
Right.
All right, I'm going to move on to my rant, and it's not as deep as your guys's. It just shocks me when I rewatch this season how long it takes us to learn Lauren's name. It's been a struggle for like 3 episodes of this podcast, or maybe 4, to be like calling him the host when every time I want to call him Lauren. So it's just always a surprise how long it takes to get to that. So that's all I got in terms of that Lauren rant. I have another one that's also not as deep, but a little deeper. Of part of Lauren's critique of Pylea is like basically saying it's a world without art. You know, he addressed it as it's a world without music, and it's interesting also because like just how many fantasy worlds or sci-fi worlds don't have art. You know, not that we'd necessarily see them in a story, but I actually thought about this unrelated to this while I was watching Solo a couple weeks ago. I rewatched Solo, and I was like, is anyone an artist in the I mean, I guess there's musicians. There are performers. We know that. But in like the Star Wars universe, like it's like you're either part of the Empire or you're rebellion or you're a smuggler. Like I guess you can be a performer, but like I don't know. He wasn't like I gotta get out of Corellia. I'll join a band. It just made me think about like, I don't know. Lauren has this whole thing about the value of the arts, and like Angel never really connects with that.
Yeah.
Like Angel never, he every week learns the value of the gray side of herodom, and has to relearn it. But he doesn't like learn Lauren's whole thing about the value of music. Aside from it being like a sonic attack.
Well, the metaphor with Lauren is I feel like is pretty transparent. Like Lauren is really heavily coded gay, even if the character isn't literally gay. And the fact that he like comes to moves like from the country to the big city to you know, with a family that's rejected him, and finds a place that where he feels comfortable. It's a pretty common story, both in real life and in fiction, I suppose. Right. I heard an interesting interview with a guy. I just had to look him up. Jack Halbertstam, who came up with the term metronormativity to describe how that narrative kind of like leaves out all of the queer people that are in the kind of rural areas that we kind of tend to not see because we're so obsessed with that narrative of going to the big city. Mm-hmm. Not that I know anything about that. Did not read his book. Just heard an interview. But like that's pretty clearly like the story that they're trying to tell us with Lauren, I feel like.
Well, my rant is pretty brief, but you see how much fun it is when like the characters get to go on some like adventure, like the Angel characters. And part of me just like wishes that we got a Buffy adventure, like a Buffy adventure arc where they went to camp, or they went to like Europe or Euro Disney, or they went on a cruise. I don't know. Like I would have taken any adventure, or like they went camping, like Buffy. Imagine Buffy and the crew going camping, like, and then they fight some monster, you know?
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Yeah, they don't move. They don't leave Sunnydale very often. That just reminds me of our recent Monster of the Week thing when we ended up in those woods.
Yeah. So it's just like there's so much fun things you can explore when you take the characters out of their normal environment, which was amazing for Angel to do.
It's such a big step. It's so different than the end of Buffy this season. I mean, they do kind of go on an adventure. They like go on their, RV trip with Spike at the end of season 5, but it's, and they hide out of an old gas station, whatever it is. But like,
I don't think they even make it to the next town.
But it's not quite the adventure that this is. This is like like you're comparing it to King Arthur, in Connecticut and King Arthur's Court. Like this is a blast. It's so much fun to do this kind of thing. It really feels like a fantasy adventure show when you do it. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it partly speaks just the fact they did a 3-parter, really, and it's not officially a to be continued each time, but it's clearly a 3-part episode. I think it speaks to the increasing emphasis on arc that you see as just moving through this moment in television history.
Yeah, and the fact that Angel's season, at least season 2, is built in these mini arcs instead of. Right. Doing something in 3 episodes feels so much more fun to me than 22 episodes.
Totally. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to predictions.
Virgin predictions.
I know we got a whole batch, so let's jump in.
Okay, Michael. Let's see. Looking back here, your overall accuracy is currently at a 61.28%. Let's see what we can do about that for you. Let's see. First of all, way back at the very beginning of our look at Angel, you predicted that Cordelia will lose her ability to have visions. That did not happen, but we thought we'd bring up that fact that prediction is still open because it did almost seem like it was almost going to happen here for a moment. You predicted as well, also there, that Doyle left something behind that a demon is going to come looking for. Now, I feel like we need to make the argument here that Doyle left his visions behind inside Cordelia, and that Gruselog, who's part demon, has come looking for them. So I kind of want to confirm this one. It's definitely outside of the spirit of what you meant, but I think based on the letter of the law,
yes, he's
I
right.
think that's a confirmation. Dennis, what do you think? I mean, he's only part demon.
I think if Doyle was still alive and went to Pylea, he probably would have put on the metal bikini and become the princess and would have gotten corn shucked. So I'll give it to him.
Very good. I feel like there's some definite fan fiction in this.
Let the corn shuck.
Okay. All right. At the end of Angel Season 1, Michael, you predicted that Wesley and Cordelia will kiss again in Season 2 of Angel. That has not happened. I'm sorry to say that one is denied.
Okay. I accept. I mean, of course I accept.
Sorry, 1 second. Denied. Okay. Michael, you predicted that the host and Angel will not team up again. This is in our last Angel special. That clearly is incorrect. The host and Angel have definitely teamed up again. Therefore, that is denied. You also predicted that Kate. Well, we're not going to talk about that one. We decided.
Angel will travel through time. I just wanted to bring up.
You did predict Angel will travel through time. Now, I think we've talked about before how, in a sense, Angel is always traveling into the future one moment at a time. But I think we can go ahead and say that this one's going to stay open. This is not really time travel as far as we can tell.
It's so close, though. I just wanted to bring it up because it's so close. He goes to medieval times. It's just a different dimension.
Yeah. Yeah. Close but no cigar. So with that, which I believe is 1 confirmation and 2 denials, your overall accuracy, Michael, has dropped to a 61.03.
All right. Well, I have some new predictions to make about Angel after this episode, after the end of season 2. I think we like this game of Angel getting in the sun. Angel's going to get more sun in season 3. I think Lindsay is going to run Wolfram and Hart in season 3. Of course, he'll be guided by that evil hand, which you won't get rid of.
I believe you already have an open Lindsay's going to run Wolfram and Hart prediction.
But not in season 3.
Right?
Right. I'm just trying to be specific. I'm going to make all these predictions again in season 3. Wolfram and Hart operates in at least one more dimension in season 3. Because I like that weird wolf ram hot that Wesley had. That was a blast.
Yeah.
And then my super prediction, Winifred, will date Wesley in season 3. That is a coupling that's inevitable.
It looked like you skipped one that you had written down.
Oh, yeah. Winifred will join Angel Investigations in season 3. That seems inevitable. But I'm going to take it.
Take those points when you can.
Very good.
All right. Thank you, Michael, for doing all that. I have been Dennis St. John. You could see my work credited on Snoopy in Space on Apple TV. You can find me online. I'm at Dennis Comics. That's at DENISCOMIX. That's my Twitter, my Instagram, and even my .com. And you can buy my comics on my .com, including Land of Many Monsters and Many More Monster Tales, Amelia, Monsters and Girls book, and more. You could join my Monster Club on Patreon. And where can people find the rest of you guys? Maybe throw your Twitters at them if you got them. If you want.
I so rarely tweet, but when I do, it's at Michael Poley on Twitter.
My last tweet was in 2015.
All right. Don't follow Lando. And don't follow
That
Travis.
I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter.
You can't find him. All right. Thank you one and all for listening and talking to us at Buffy Virgin. You can visit our website, buffyvirgin.com, for links to our blog, YouTube, and Twitter, and Instagram. We reach out. We love to hear from you. And don't forget to rate and review us on the podcast listener of your choice. We'll see you in hell.